Every once in a while, we ask the question, who is winning the war in Ukraine? And victory is measured in many ways, not just in terms of territory, but also the political goals that each side strikes. Tonight, we want to tell you about Russia's wins. Russia has one more buyer of oil, and that buyer is Japan. And this is a very, very significant turn, a big win for Russia, a big blow to the West, and vindication of sorts for India. Although it doesn't really help India, we'll tell you why in just a bit. But first, let's understand why this is such a big deal. You see, Japan is a close ally of the US. Japan joined the West in sanctioning Russia. And now the same Japan has decided to buy Russian oil. How can they do that? If Japan had sanctioned Russia, how can it buy Russian oil? Because it kept oil and gas out of the sanctions, just like Europe did. Japan stopped short of sanctioning Russian oil and gas, and now it wants to buy cheaper Russian oil. This is a setback to America's plans of containing Russia. And to add insult to injury, Japan is buying Russian oil above the Western price cap. We'll tell you about it. This move demonstrates what the world has always known, that Western sanctions regime is hollow. Quick question. Why does Japan need Russian oil? Because it's cheap and it's available. It ensures Japan's energy security. Japan needs oil, but it does not produce any fossil fuel. 90% of what Japan consumes is imported, so energy imports are crucial for Tokyo, and you cannot depend on just one source. So Japan is turning to Russia for oil. It is pursuing an independent policy. Now here's the interesting part. Japan is part of the G7, the group of seven, the world's 7 largest economies. And this group, the G7, wanted to cap Russian oil prices. They wanted to set a limit to Russian oil prices. The G7, the European Union, and Australia were all part of this effort. They wanted to fix Russian oil prices at $60 a barrel, so that Russia is not able to sell oil at high prices. The idea was to limit its earnings from oil. $60 a barrel, that was it. But Japan did not join this effort. It sought an exemption, and it got one. With this, Japan was able to buy more Russian energy. Now look at the numbers. In the first 60 days of this year, Japan bought close to 750,000 barrels of Russian oil. How much did Tokyo pay for this? About $52 million. That comes to under $70 per barrel, but that's more than the Western price cap of $60 per barrel. And this is not a one-off case. Japan has no plans to stop buying Russian oil. But it has made some changes to its policy vis-a-vis Russia. Earlier, Russia enjoyed a special status. Russia was among the most favored nations for trade. Well, this is a tag that is given to countries that enjoy favorable trade terms. Most favored nation, that's what they're called. Russia had that status in Japan. But after the war in Ukraine, this tag was taken away. And last week, Japan decided to not restore it, at least for one more year. So tariffs on Russian goods will continue, but none of this will impact Russian energy supplies. They won't face any tariffs, the oil supplies. So much for isolating Russia. Europe has been doing the same. Since last year, it has imported goods worth $186 billion. These are among the top allies of Ukraine. And then we have Pakistan, also an ally of Ukraine. Pakistan is supplying ammunition to Ukraine, and now Pakistan is also buying Russian oil. Reports say Pakistan will order Russian crude oil next month. We don't know how it will pay for it, but this is from Pakistan's finance minister. He said the first order will be placed in the month of May, and 4 weeks after that, the deliveries will be made. Reports say Moscow has promised a discount to Islamabad. So clearly, Western sanctions are not working. But more buyers for Moscow is not great news for India. You see, when the demand increases, the cost advantage may go. And prices are already rising. In the month of March, the price of Russian crude shot up because of increased demand. And today, oil prices went up again. That's because of a surprise decision by OPEC+. This is a cartel of oil producers, OPEC+. It's the largest energy cartel in the world. And they've decided to reduce oil output. They will cut exports by 1 million barrels a day. And Russia is part of this group, OPEC+. And Russia too will cut production. How does it help them? It's simple economics. The demand is high. They will cut supply, so the prices will go up. Indian importers are gearing up for this. Reports say India is ready to pay more for Russian crude, and China too wants to buy more. With zero COVID gone and the economy up and running, China is hungry for oil. And Indian importers will compete with China in the energy market. Today, prices increased by over 5%. One barrel of Brent crude was trading at above $84. The rupee is showing signs of stress. Reports say OPEC supply cuts could weaken the Indian rupee. How will all of this impact India? This is a developing story. Expect more in the coming days.